Hello and welcome. I'm Helen. This is week 2 of our weekly make-alongs from Pompom Ohmm. Okay, today I'm going to be doing a draft excluder. I've got all my poms ready. So I have used the large pom-pom maker, the largest I should say, pom-pom maker. And if you saw me make flowers the end of last week, I've not made fully round poms, okay? So I've used less wool when I've been winding them on, and I've deliberately flattened them down like discs. I have not rounded them off. That way we're going to get like a long flat tube, a long round tube of poms that we're going to use as our draft excluder. So I've deliberately flattened them out so that I can still see the middle there of each one. I've gone for colour wise. We have the sparkly silver and we have the sparkly white. Okay. On the end of each of these poms, I have deliberately made it so that we can have a nice fluffy end. Now the only way to do this was to actually make a full-sized pom. So this is one that will go completely round. It's got plenty of wool on, but I've left it flat so that I'm going to be able to see the middles there. Okay, I've got one for each end, so they're two different colours. Okay, so I've got my plastic sewing wool sewing needles there. Okay, I'm actually going to use 3 needles at the same time for this project. That is so I can put the wool through the needle, and then do you know what, I'm saying three needles, but because I'm going to use both colours, I'm actually going to use 4. Okay, so I want plenty of wool to go through the middle so that it definitely is attached. I'm going to pull off a fair amount because the last thing I want to do is run out halfway through this draft excluder. I want to make sure I'm definitely going to get all the way to the end. So I've doubled over my wool there and gone all the way to the end. Okay, I'm going to cut that off. I'm going to do exactly the same with another grey. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same with 2 whites. These are massive needles, so actually you could probably pass even more wool through them. So I'm going to use the previous one to measure off against, just so I've got something to measure against. Really, don't need to do this. So yeah, a little bit longer. Okay, double over. As I said, by using multiple needles, you can get plenty of wool running through the middle of this. So I've done two lots of the grey. I'm now going to do 2 lots of the white. Okay. You could use string or something stronger to go through the middle of this. Draft excluder. It doesn't need to be the wool that you've already used on your draft excluder. It doesn't need to be the same as the poms, but I am, just so that I can show you that you don't need to buy anything extra anymore. But of course you can if you want something stronger. You know, make sure it's not going to come apart. So there we go. I've doubled it over, and I'm going to just do one more. Okay. So one more. This is they are just poms, so obviously, you know, you tie them tight enough so that you don't get any loose ends, but there's always a chance you will get a loose end. So with it being a draft excluder and the chance that it's going to get stuck under the door, of course you can put this just straight onto the floor in front of the door. That's the purpose of this, but I'm actually going to show you. I'm going to attach 2 little I get annoyed when the draft excluder has to be moved constantly and rearranged neatly in front of the door. So I'm actually going to show you 2 little clear hooks that you won't see on the back of the door. And I'm going to actually put some loops on this, and I'm going to actually hang it to the back of the door at the bottom so that it moves with the door. And that way you're not going to trap it, you're not going to get loads of loose wool all the time. But also, you're not going to have to rearrange it every time you open the door. Because that drives me bonkers, I don't know about you. But anyway, right, so we now have 4 plastic sewing needles with our 8 strands. I love working with 8 strands here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to get the one that I'm going to be able to fluff up at the end. I'm going to get that on first. So I'm going directly through. Now I'm going to make sure I'm really holding on so that I'm not dragging any of this wool back through. You can pass these through one at a time if you wish, but I'm actually going to pass all 4 through. Okay, I'm taking the wool. See how it could easily drag it back through, so make sure you really are, make sure you're holding that wool so that it's not going anywhere. Okay, drag it all the way through. Once you've put one on, you're not going to have to drag it back, so that's quite nice. So you've got your wool there. Okay, we're going to attach this one on properly, and then we're going to keep going. So this is why you don't really want to add more wool. You want to make sure you've got long enough to carry on. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take it round one at a time and tie it off to this central thing. Okay, you could take it through more than one at a time, but in fact no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take one from each side of the same colour. Okay, so I've got 2 greys, and I'm gonna tie it like I would be normally tying. Oh, I've just lost the end that I was going to use there. Oh no, I haven't. There it is. So I'm going to tie it as if I wouldn't be normally tying a pom-pom. Okay, so I'm just literally tying it round that middle of the pom-pom. So I'm pulling it as tight as I can so that I don't lose any strands. Okay, and you don't want to be pulling too hard because you're going to pull the wool back through. So just, you do want it tight so that it disappears, but you also don't want to pull it back through on itself. With the tails of this one, once you've done 2 knots, take your tails around your wool as well and re-tie it, give it another 2 knots. So you've attached it to itself, and then you're attaching it to the wool that you're pulling through the middle as well. Okay, you're going to repeat that with however many strands you've put through. So I've done 8. I'm going to leave the tail for now, just so that I could do something with that later if I wanted. Okay, so I've got plenty more to do here. So of course I took through 8, so I'm going to have 2 of each colour. So I've done 1 grey. I'm going to do the second grey. You probably can pull a bit tighter this time because you've already secured it in place, but just be careful you're not pulling it all back through. Okay, so again, 2 knots, then go round your string, give it another 2 knots. All you're doing is you're just securing it onto the end so that none of your other poms are going to go past it. Okay, now I've got the whites left, so I'm going to do 2 whites. Obviously this is a grey pom, so make sure you are now letting that white disappear through the strands so that you're not, sorry, I've not got the camera in the right place here. You're letting it disappear through the strands so that you're not going to be able to see it. Okay. Again, pull it tight. Give it 2 knots. And tie it off to the string. Round the string, I should say. And I'm leaving my ends. I'm probably going to tie them off, you see, so I always leave my ends until I've finished tying them. Okay, so last one. Again, let the string go through all of the fronds so you're not, your fronds of your pom, so that you're not actually going to be seeing those. Okay, pull it tight again so you're not seeing them. And last one, go around your palm, string even. Okay, I'm gonna do what I always do. I'm gonna tie them together. So I'm just gonna tie the pairs together, and then I'm gonna chop them off as if they're down to the same length as the rest of the poms. Of course, you're not gonna see the whites now because the next pom to go on here is a grey, but you're gonna be able to hide that within the next pom. Keep calling them proms tonight. I mean poms, of course. Okay. So yeah. So trim them down, and if you make it the same length as the actual pom fluff, then you ain't gonna see this. Okay. So that's our very first pom on there. Obviously, I've got these loops coming off from where I originally made the pom. I'm going to keep that because I might actually use that as my hanging loop, so I'm not going to do anything with that yet. You'll see how this now will fluff around and create a proper pom shape. Okay, later I'm going to trim that so it's got a nice end. Okay, but for now I'm going to ignore it because I'm going to be trimming the whole thing at the end of this. So, I'm going to put these on in twos. You can choose obviously whether you want it. You can have it one and then the next one, or you can have it in pairs or whatever really. I'm going with two, so I'm going to pass all of it through, making sure I'm kind of keeping my fingers around this wall so that I'm not pulling back anything that I originally put through the pom, because you don't want to undo the work that you did. So as I said, you're holding it carefully, you're pulling it all the way through, and because you've left it flat like a disc on the one end, you can completely pull it tight. Okay, so you are going to get a bit of a pom-pom shape, but you're not really, because we're gonna trim this, and you've left them as discs, not poms. So just means it all goes together tighter. Helps really with it being a draft excluder. Okay, so we're now going to go for two whites. Okay. If you are going to use your ends to make a loop, do make sure that they are all to one side of this length, but we're not gonna worry too much. So again, making sure I'm really holding it in the correct places so that it's not destroying anything. You might get a bit tangled. I just have, but we will. All we'll do is make sure we've not caught any fronds. That's all we've done there. We've caught some fronds. So let's make sure we haven't. Hold it in the right place. There we go. See, look, we caught some fronds. That's fine. We can pull those out. Okay. Oh, I've actually gone through it with the needle. That's why it pulled. Okay, so let's get rid. Okay. This is why I'm saying you need to hold it quite carefully so you're not pulling it through. So, there we go. Next one, down, hand on, and we're packing it quite nice and tightly. If it's sticking out a bit, don't worry. We're going to trim it all. Okay. And they will twist round so that you can end up with your loops at the right end. Okay, next is another. I'm going to put on another white. So, again, I'm going to try and catch all of the loops so I don't drag anything through. I've caught two, well, that's fine. Okay, so in terms of shape, I'm just making sure I've got on they're all going flat together, so it's going to create this long feather duster look. Draft excluder. To me it looks like a feather duster anyway. Okay, I've got two whites I've done, so two greys, two whites. Next thing I'm going to put on is a grey. I am just trying to make sure I hold these so that I'm not pulling them through. I am catching them a little bit, but you know, It's not too bad. So there we go. There we are. There's a grey on there now. See, I am catching them a little bit, but we only lost 2 that time. That's okay. So we're just keeping going. This has taken 15 minutes because the setup's the hardest. I say hardest, this is a nice easy project, but the setup's probably the only time consuming bit. Now where I'm catching it is because I'm letting the needles go between the fond on the other side, so I'm actually going to just be careful this time and check there's nothing between the needles. Okay, and this time we've not caught many. Okay, pull it all the way down. In fact, we've caught none that time. So we've got 2 grey on there. We're going to put another 2 white on. We want to make sure we're ending on a white because that's what I've got for the other end. So again, I'm just going to, again, I've gone through a fond there, so fond, I mean frond. I seem to be messing up the R's tonight, but that's fine. Okay, so there we go. Another white. Obviously, you can take your time about putting these on so that you do not catch too many of the fronds of your poms, but I'm rushing a little bit so that you can see it on the camera. Of course, you could use any colours for this. We're going to do a couple of combos for you. Not tonight. I'm just going to do the white and grey tonight, but I will be doing a few colour combos as ready to go. Draft excluders, they'll go up on the website. But obviously, if you did want to design your own draft excluder, by all means, just pop us a message. Let us know what colours you're after. And you can design your own make at home draft excluder kit too. So again, just put a message on there, a general inquiry on the website, and we can send you either a make at home kit or we can customize a draft excluder for you. But I am going to put these up as ready to do colour combos. I'm thinking probably there's going to be a grey and a white. I'm probably going to do some sort of white and navy. I'm just thinking of like what people's rooms would probably suit best. So yeah, I'm thinking a white and navy. I'm also thinking actually like a candy cane, so a red and a sparkly white, as like a, dare I say the word, but a Christmassy one. Yeah. Obviously, I know people have a lot of pink and grey and ochre and grey, so if you can think of a colour combo that you think you'd like or that you think would be popular, by all means let us know, that'd be lovely. A bit of feedback would be great. Okay. Not all these poms are the neatest of creations, so we're going to trim them. We're going to trim them at the end. I never really claimed to trim them before before we start making a creation. That's purely because I like to put them into place and see where they need the work, really. Yeah, I've got a couple, not too many. Where we're catching them is because we're actually sending our knitting needle through the pom wool, so I think it's going to be difficult to completely miss them every time, but as long as you're not catching huge amounts of them. So as you can see, we've got our pom snake developing here. I'm thinking of doing like a caterpillar one for like a nursery with feet. I think that would look quite cool. But yeah, I'm also thinking like almost a snake, isn't it, really? Ooh, look at that. I'm definitely messing around this week. It really reminds me of a feather duster, but yeah, it's a bit more malleable than a feather duster. Okay, So 2 greys. I'm just going to double check that I've actually got this right and that I'm going to end up with the correct colour at the end, because I'm starting to think I might have miscounted. Let's do that so that I can see. So grey, white, grey. No. Yeah, there we go. So grey, white, grey, white, grey, white, grey, white. No, I have done this right. Halfway through the project and I'm suddenly thinking, ooh. Yeah. You could easily put this on as 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and really make it, I don't know. It would look more busy, I guess. I guess the more you put together, the less busy this could look. But I think the candy cane one, the Christmassy one that I'm thinking of doing, that would look quite good if it was, you know, 1 red, 1 white. But it's just going to be playing it by ear. Yeah, so making sure we're not pulling through huge amounts as we get more confident. You see, we could end up sort of, you know, losing track of it a little bit, because you don't really want to be messing up your wool. You don't really want to be trapping too much of your wool. Okay, right, we're getting there. Hopefully this is going to take us about half an hour, 40 minutes. Not going to be a massively long one. Obviously, I say this each time, I'm doing this in real time, deliberately, because I want to show you how long it actually takes, but also I want to do it so that you could make along at the same time. Join us with a cup of tea and make along. If you want to actually make along with us live, you are more than welcome to. We have a Zoom session that we are running once every Monday evening between 7 and 9. The link is on the Facebook page. So if you want to join us on there, it is literally just going to be a friendly, chatty group. Not a huge amount of people, just like a friendly little group. We did it the other night. There was 4 of us on there, all doing different things. One of us was making a snowman, another one was making, Christmassy, I know, but I say snowman. This snowman was actually blue and pink, so it was an alternative snowman. One was doing crochet, so it doesn't actually have to all be pom-poms, and it doesn't all have to be wool either. So yeah, join us on there. Join us to make. Not particularly going to be full of instruction. I'm not necessarily going to be showing you how to do it, but we did have someone who was relatively new to it last night, and the other night, sorry, and we were able to kind of help and give a bit of instruction over the Zoom session. So it's not going to be like this. You're not going to be watching us make something. I will be making, but I won't be expecting you to make along with me. You can, you know, unless you specifically, if you ask for that, then, you know, if you buy a kit and you say, look, I'd love to jump on the Zoom and you show me how to make it and we'll do it together. Yep, fine. I've got no problem with that. I love to see them being made. So yeah, not a problem at all. Last night we had another person who was making a caterpillar, and I was making the poms for this draft excluder. So we were all doing different things, and we were just having a friendly chat whilst making a couple of questions about pom-poms. We had some questions about pom-pom rugs, and we had some questions about how to order the wool when you're making like a rainbow pom. So all questions that thankfully we were able to give answers to. Okay, you can make this draft excluder as long as you need it to be for your door. Now I've gone with what have I gone with? I think I've gone for 24, have I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. No, I haven't. I've gone for 28. I'm lying. And I'm going to go measure it against the door in a minute because I've not particularly measured it against the door. And I may very well be putting far too many pom-poms on here, so I'm going to go and have a look. I sort of roughly measured it against the door yesterday before I started making the poms, but as ever, I was rushing and I didn't use a tape measure. So that's probably my first mistake here. So I'll put another white on and then I'm going to go and just check, because at this point we can still choose to put less on. Okay, so again, I keep catching a few, but I'm really not worried about losing a few at this point. Okay, I'm going to wander away for a moment. I'm going to come back. All I'm doing is taking my excluder to the door and having a quick look in real life how long this is going to look. So I'm not going to show you, because I'll be showing you at the end. I actually think that probably only needs about 4 more. So I'm gonna put. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna put 3 more on. Check if I am right that it's 4 that I need, and go from there. I want it to be ever so slightly longer than the door, but I don't want it to be excessively longer than the floor. I've dropped it to the floor at this point because I've got it between my knees, so that's easier to work with. Okay. So the last one I put on was 2 whites. I'm going to put 2 greys on. Then I'm going to put a white on, and then I'm going to go and see, because obviously my last pom to go on here is white. So I need to stop when I'm on a white pom. Okay, so there's a grey going on. I'm probably going to put the full amount on, but I don't know yet. Really, I'm just winging it again. When I jump on here each week, I kind of want to show you something different, so I am kind of experimenting, really, which is how I want to do it. I'd like to show you stuff that we're still not 100% sure of. You know, we're giving it a go, but we're not, you know, we're still experimenting. Am I going to go measure it? Nah, I'm not going to go measure it. I'm just going to wing it. I've got 8 to go on. I'm going to put those 8 on. Okay. There is no reason why you couldn't still have it on the desk at this point. I'm just finding it easier to go to the floor. I am definitely going to do a caterpillar one. I might even bob back on and film it, but not tonight. I want it to have feet, I think, and antennae. I think that'll look quite fun. Not sure what colour. Probably multi, so that it's unisex. I'm definitely going to do a rainbow one as well, because I just think that'll be fun. Fun colours. Okay. As you can see, I'm catching at least 3 fronds each time. I'm not worrying too much. There we are. Still going. It's looking relatively long. Yeah, definitely can see how this would be a caterpillar, can't you? Slash multicoloured snake slash whatever, really. I mean, normally draft excluders have got material in them that is going to keep your place warm, but you will definitely stop some draft with all of this wool. All these wool fronds, so. And of course it's pom-poms, and we love making anything we think of with the pom-pom. Okay, last one. As you can see, I've left loads of extra wool. It was because I didn't want to get in a tangle and lose any. Okay. You will notice this has been attached only at this end and the other, so if this was to come undone, you could easily just re-sew it through again. Hopefully it won't come undone, because with our trick of attaching it to the door, there's no reason why it should get trapped and caught, and as long as you haven't got any little ones that are going to go past and get it with a pair of scissors, you really shouldn't be. It shouldn't be coming undone. Right, so last one going on. So this is the pom that's got the full amount of wool on, so that we're going to be able to pull it round and have a rounded end. Sorry, I've sewn through it again. Oh dear, yeah. I keep sewing through the actual wool. Right, okay, so I've got all of my pom-poms on there. There's a great big string of poms. Obviously, this is exactly how you do a garland as well, but with a garland you'll probably want to make them look more round so that you can show off that they are poms. We don't want to do that with this because we want it to trap the draft coming through. So okay, this time a little bit more complicated because you're going in between two poms. So I would suggest cutting it off so that you've got more to work with, and also you've got rid of your needles. So I'm gonna give myself plenty just in case this goes wrong. And also I've left myself plenty for a hook at the other end. So again, I am gonna find 2 strands of the same colour, which I'm going for white first. I'm going through, just tilting it slightly, but I really don't want to. I don't want to create too much space between these 2 end ones, so I'm just pulling it round, and then tying it and allowing that wool to drop down between the 2. There you go, see, I'm pulling it nice and tight. This time you don't have to be worried about pulling that wool through because that wool is going nowhere. So there we are. So I've done 2 knots, and then I'm going to go around the other side so that I know that I'm going around the string that's in there, and I'm just going to again pull 2 knots, pull it tight so that I'm not separating that end off. If you were making a caterpillar, this would be the perfect opportunity to turn this into the head, because you can kind of trap some fronds and separate it a bit from its body deliberately. But that wasn't our intention with this one in particular. So, and again, just keep going with your fronds of wool. Definitely a half an hour, 40-minute project this. So it's not hugely lengthy. Okay, so tying it down, drop it down between them, okay, and pulling tight, doing 2 loops and going round to the other side. Don't worry if it's coming we've got a gap there, because we can make sure that when we trim it, we're gonna trim it in line. So right, we've got our fronds of grey. So this time we want to make sure that they are going down between the white, and we're not going to see them. Don't want to be seeing grey over the white, really, do you? So again, double knot it down between, and then pull it round to the other side, and again double knot it, letting it go down out of sight. Final one. Okay, pulling it round out of sight, double knot in, making sure it is definitely going out of sight. Round to the other side and pulling them out of sight. Okay, so you've just tied a load of knots. Again, I'm not going to cut them straight off, and never do. So I'm going to take a pair at a time and tie them off. You might have them round different sides at this point, that's fine. Okay, so again, cut them off so that they're within the wool, and that way you're not going to be seeing that grey when you want to be seeing white. Obviously, if you were doing white, grey, white, grey, white, grey, you wouldn't see it at all, because you'd be going into the next grey. So let's pull that round here and tie that. Okay, so now what we've got is one long draft excluder. Again, I'm cutting it so I can't see that great. Okay, alright. The end's round, but we're going to trim that to make it even rounder. Now what you've got is all of these extra strands. Now, you can, if you've got two next to each other of the same colour, you can tie them off. Just make sure, though, that you're pulling them so tight so that they go down into the fronds and you're not going to see them. And then when you cut them off, cut them the same length as all the other fronds. Okay. All right. So you can just tie those off to each other and cut those off so you can't see them. So you can use these as the hook for the door, but I'm not going to because I want to make a feature of it. So I'm just gonna tie them off. Obviously, if, like me, look, you've ended up with one this side and one the other side, they will, if you're very gentle, they will twist at this point so that you can end up with them on the same side. Again, pull them tight enough so you can't see. This is just another way of making sure, actually, that it's all held together. So if you do, at some point, the string comes through the middle, which it would have to be intentional. You'd have to snip it, really, or catch it on something. Because there's no access to that string. You'd have to literally go through, but you just never know, do you? So if they did the string was detached somewhere in the middle, at least they'd come off in twos. Okay. And you'd literally re-sew them. If we've done it for you, you know, speak to us and we can tell you how to do it again. Or yeah, so trim that off. Again, I say this a lot, but we are design your own. So design your own draft excluder. Let us know what colours you want, and we'll go for it. You know, the more of these videos we do, as I said, I am experimenting on the videos as well as showing you what we already do. So hopefully we will be expanding our range, because we will be including more and more products. Obviously we've got a bit of wall art going on, we've got mirrors going on, we've now added this draft excluder. There'll be more colour variations of this draft excluder. I really haven't decided what we're doing next week, but I will come up with something. I mean, I might show you something that we are actually regularly doing, but I doubt it. It'll be something that I quite fancy making. So, again, I'm just tweaking them when they're not next to each other. Oh, they mostly are. So, just tying off all these ends together next to their same coloured partner. And then we're going to give this a trim. I'm only going to do the bits that are really offensive, because as always, I don't want you to be watching when you don't need to be watching. You know, I would always suggest, rather than pulling through anything offensive, do trim it off, because you don't want to make your poms thin, really. Again, I've got to pull that round there. Okay. Obviously these are decorative because they can lose some of their strands of wool, so I wouldn't suggest they be a toy for anybody. However, this would make a wonderful snake, wouldn't it? But again, yeah, I wouldn't suggest they be a toy for anybody. Just because they will, well, not they will, but they could pull out some strands, and we don't want that. We don't want, you know. I would suggest this wouldn't be particularly very good either as a draft excluder for if you've got a dog in the house, because they'll probably find this wonderful to chew. And you would end up with bits of wool then if they were chewing it, because again, I would class canine teeth as deliberately chopping through this. Really, if you've got a canine in the house, or a cat, canine or a cat, you're going to want something that's up off the floor, out of the way. You're not going to want something that they can drag off the door. I would say. I don't have. As you can tell, I've only got fish. So I'm not talking from experience here, but I should imagine it would be fair game if it was on the floor, beyond the door. So, especially for a cat. I'm sure they'd love pom-poms. I've heard they're notorious for climbing up Christmas trees. So. Right, we're nearly there. We are actually nearly there. Another twist to get this into the right line. What I said earlier about making sure they're all the same side, don't worry about it. Actually, they're so easy to twist round that you'll be fine. Okay. So, yeah. There we go. Okay, as you can now see, we have got one great big long sausage of pom-poms. Okay. Alright, so make sure that well, I haven't got enough room to lie this flat as always, but make sure you've got them all in line so that you're not trimming anything you don't need to be trimming, okay? All you're doing, making sure it's all flat along all the sides, so you'll be trimming off all these really offensive bits. Definitely, I would be making it... These scissors are rubbish for this job, so I'm really not going to persevere with this, but you'll be trimming it round, making sure there's nothing sticking out, and it's a lovely shape. As I said, I haven't got the right scissors to hand, so I'm not going to painstakingly show you this. Because if you use scissors that are not sharp enough for this job, you can end up pulling your fronds back out, and that's the last thing you want. Okay, you want nice little sharp scissors for this. Or even large scissors, but make sure that they're sharp. So I'm just getting the really annoying bit. Okay. And then I am going to, like I promised, I want to put some hooks on this and I want to attach this to the door. So I'm going to come a couple of poms in to make sure that I really am attaching it on the door, but that I have got, I'm going to go for there and there on those two grey ones. That I've got enough of the weight supported, you see. It is going to be touching the floor, but I still want to make sure it's not all wiggly wobbly. Okay, so obviously I have got the needles on the end of this and I'm not going to spend ages pulling them back through. Oh, I seem to have... I do this all the time, don't I? I've lost the scissors. Oh, no, I haven't lost them. I've dropped them. That's the difference. Okay, so I'm just chopping the needles off because I'm not spending time pulling them through. Okay. Okay, all I want is little loops here. I don't want massive anything. So, yeah, I'm going to try and do it in 2 halves if I can. How am I going to do it? Yeah, because all I'm going to do is go round. I'm going between these two balls of wool here. Okay. And all I'm doing is leaving a bit that will create a loop and then tying it off. Okay. And obviously I want it to disappear down inside, so I'm not even going to leave much of a loop there. I'm going to pull it back through after. So I'm going to let it disappear down inside. Okay. Double knot as always. trim it off. You want to trim it off so that you can't see it within the thing. Just double check that you have got a loop, look. It's a very tight loop. We don't want to see much of this, really. Okay, so a little loop there. I'm clipping this off. And keeping hold of it because I've got enough there that I think I could... Oh, no, I haven't. No, I haven't got enough there at all. I'm going to get some more. So remember where your loop is because it's going to disappear down back inside. Okay. It's just a little loop. I've got these little hooks here that I'm going to go and stick onto the door, and I'm just literally looping that wool round it. Okay, I don't want to see masses of wool hanging up off the door, mostly because I want to actually be able to hide these little metal hooks, because you'll see that they're on clear plastic but the hook isn't, so I want to hide the little hook in amongst the wool there, look. Okay, so I'm going to show you that in a second. So I've got one hook there, I know where that is. I'm going to, again, pull off eight strands of wool, so that's going to be 4 white, 4 grey. Same as always. Don't need a huge amount, do we? So 4 white. We don't need to keep the loops this time because there's no wreath to be attaching it to. So we don't need to worry about ends. So that's makes it easier. Again. Gonna loop it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay, so I went here, I went through between the 2 grey there that was next to the white. So on this one, I'm going to be going through these 2 whites. I've used 4 grey, 4 white, so it doesn't matter. I've deliberately made it so it can be a bit of a feature. Again, going round there, look. Not pulling especially tight, but just letting that knot drop between the 2, but making sure I have got a hoop on the outside, okay? So again, tying that off as a double knot, letting it sink in so you can't see it, but tying it off as a double knot, cutting it off so that your little fronds end up within your wool, but it is going underneath, remember? So we now have 2 loops, okay? If you haven't remembered to make them both at the same side, you can twist it round, but just be gentle with it at this point. So I've got a long draft excluder with 2 loops, and the loops are for hanging to the door. If you're not going to hang it to the door, don't worry, they're hidden down inside, so we can just leave those there. We can ignore them if we're not hanging it to the door. They don't need to go anywhere. Okay, as you can see, I have got bits sticking out, but that's, remember I said that my scissors were not good enough really for trimming. They are totally offending me though, so I'm going to see what I can do. No, my scissors are just not good enough for trimming that, so I ain't going to work too hard. Okay, so I haven't already stuck my hooks to the door. I've done that deliberately so that I'm not faffing around with working out where my hooks are going to go on my door. I'm going to loop them on now. Okay, I'm now going to take it to the door. I'm going to stick them onto the door in exactly the right place for where this draft excluder needs to hang, because I do not want to be faffing about with where they need to go. So these are they're literally just clear plastic hanging. These are Command, that's the brand I've used. You can get different, but Command are pretty good. Always a wall side, always a not wall side. So I'm going to put the not wall side onto my little hooks straight away. You can buy these, they're pretty common. You can buy them in quite a few shops, but if you know you're attaching it to a door, just let us know. We can include them, really. Not a pack of, I'll just send you 2. And you might choose to not attach it to your door. It's just a real pet hate of mine when my draft excluder needs rearranging. Okay, so I'm going to go and stick this to the door. Okay, so you're not going to see that. You will hear me though. And then I'm going to take this over and show it to you. Okay. Right, I'm going to go and put this in the door and then I'll come back for you now. Okay. Right, coming back for the camera now. So, bit of dodgy camera work whilst I take you over and try and show you this on the bottom half of the door. Ready? Dodgy camera work. Here we go. So, it's down here. Covers the door. As you can see, can't see the hooks too. Oh, where are you? Told you it was going to be dodgy camera work. There we go. Can't see the hooks too badly, but you can see them slightly. Okay, so if I can try and show you the bottom of the door here, and as I said, it's going to go with it. It's going to pull it round slightly. Oh, this is very difficult to show you. Pull it round slightly, but it's not going to need too much rearranging. It's just going to need kicking with your foot to put it back into place, which is so much better than having to bend down and put it in place. So that's just my trick for making sure you're not going to do too much work every time you shut the door, basically. Okay, so not the easiest thing to show you there on the camera, so I will take some pictures of this so that you can see what I'm talking about. Again, hope you've enjoyed tonight's make. Has been a bit shorter if you wanted to make a long 50 minutes, but that's me showing you on the camera, so you could do that quicker, I reckon. Okay, so draft excluder, pom-pom draft excluder. Okay, could do many different colours. So hope you've enjoyed this week. We'll be back next week with I don't know what yet, haven't decided. And I will see you then. Thanks for watching. Comments welcome. Let us know what we've done right and wrong. We'd love to hear from you. So yeah, see you again soon. This has been Helen for Pompom Ohmm. Thank you very much. Bye now.